Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. Y'all know I feel amazing to be back. I feel amazing. Hopefully, y'all feel great too. I've been reading the comments and I've been seeing all the love y'all have been showing. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I also been seeing a lot of people asking me, what does outwork yesterday mean? It just simply mean you're not in competition with anyone else but yourself. That's it. Your progress is measured by your own progress. That's all. What did your yesterday look like? What does your today look like? If you're working towards something, have you worked a little harder today than you did yesterday? Because that means you're edging toward your goal. That's all that means. I'm working toward a lot right now, and because of you all, a lot of things are really coming together, and I really appreciate it. It's a lot of hard work, but guess what? I'm built for it. Glory to God, and I am with you by my side and helping me out. Anything's possible. Also, thank you everyone for purchasing all of the hats. Y'all, my grace, y'all have been really showing some support and some love. I really appreciate it. And for anyone else who want to purchase a hat or a shirt, go to hatsforsale.com. It's in the link below. Make sure you put in LFR 10. Some people have not been putting in the code and have not been receiving their 10% off. So put that code in LFR 10, get your 10% off, and you'll receive free shipping all across America. Now we got some Candace Owens, dog. Y'all already know how we feel about Candace Owens over here. Shout out to Candace Owens for 1.1 million subscribers, and she just now had her baby.
The Black conservative movement is it's not covered by the media at all. And you're the biggest voice in it, but there's tons of people out there, Coleman Hughes, whatever, a lot of different people. And the media ignores this like it's not happening. And some of the most interesting conversations that are happening online are Black conservatives that are talking about American policy and disagreeing and it's very, very interesting. Trump made gains with minority voters. You know, yeah. What do you think explains that? Because we've had the most strenuous year for race relations probably that I can remember, and Donald Trump, who's a very volatile figure, gains with minority voters. What would you attribute that to?
People like me, independent voices, people are not buying it anymore, and goes back to what we talked about earlier, the fatigue of victimhood.
That's something that happened. Donald Trump, I can say, at least for myself and what I've noticed, Donald Trump was so honest about everything. He didn't care about blowing up the regular day-to-day running of DC. I mean, I never understood what clean out the swamp or something like that. I don't know what it was, because I wasn't following Trump like that. The only thing I saw was what was presented to me on CNN and MSNBC. That's what I saw. And most times they was talking sugar honey iced tea about him, showing his tweets and all those other things, and that's all. That's all. But when I started doing the reactions and checking them out, I even checked out one of his entire speeches, and the dude was he was exposing everybody. He was and people was hearing that, like, by him just putting all that truth out there, truth about the side that usually is expected to care for Black people. Those videos started to get to Black people, and then myself and other Black reactors started reacting to these videos and getting them more people to watch them, more eyes on them, and more people are waking up like crazy. Candace Owens has been just running the race like she's been running from the front the whole entire time. But even while checking out some of her videos, I noticed that it's a great, blew my mind, it's a great majority, great number of Black conservatives out there, and I never knew that it was like that. And I checked out Vice too, where they had some younger people, younger Republicans debating some young Democrats, and I never knew that was going on. Never. So yeah, there's a lot of people are starting to wake up, just as Candace saying.
I mean, if you weren't tired of being just Black this year, when everything, oh, you're struggling, you're just being Black. I mean, at a certain point, I kept saying Black America's going to wake up to this game. You can't just keep doing this every 4 years and popping around and then Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. disappearing like a magic act and then jumping back in, for the next election cycle. Eventually, Black people are going to get smart. And that's what's happening. We're having conversations. We have our own platforms. This is the reason why the left is ignoring us, but at the same time pushing for social media censorship, because it's problematic when people like Candace Owens can gain, millions and millions of followers, and, they are no longer relying on the mainstream narrative about race, right? They have another option, and that option sounds a lot better than waking up every day and being miserable just because of the color of your skin and seeing yourself as a victim. Like it just feels better. I have a better product, right? You get to go out and be happy and live your life, and you can do anything you want because this is the greatest country in the world, versus you are a victim, permanently a victim. Your life is going to suck forever because you were born with brown skin.
But I think I think it would be.
Shout out to Candace. That young lady, she talks it, man. She speaks truth, man. A lot of people I know don't even fool with Candace because they look at her as a traitor to the race. But if they actually, that's only because they've never listened to her. That's it. They've never listened to her. Just like Trump, they've only seen what was presented to her, presented to them by somebody who's left and who's on the left and don't like them and only want to present the parts that they believe would offend people. And that right there don't show love. Like, imagine your children. The only thing you do to your children is show them the negative sides of people. Tell them only the negative sides of anything. Anything. Pick a topic. Pick one topic. And you decide to tell them only the negative of anything. That's not love. That's not love at all. It's definitely not going to, it's going to continue to spread the divide, and no togetherness will happen from that at all. And that's exactly what's happening with this mainstream media, man.
Be fair to say that Black people face a different set of challenges than white people. They in many cases, right? And that
in what way specifically?
Well, I think that if you look at where I grew up in Long Island. In Long Island, a lot of my friends were able to inherit homes because their parents got loans after World War II, or their grandparents got loans after World War II to buy these houses. And they created the suburbs. I think a lot of Black people were excluded, not only from those loans, but also from like those communities, like realtors that showed Black people houses would be threatened. And it was like, so the suburbs and the house, which seemed like the engine of wealth for a lot of middle-class families, right? Building equity in something, ownership. If Black people were excluded from that. So I feel like there is a little bit of catch-up being played, certainly.
But there's not, because that doesn't explain or account for the reason that Black Americans during my grandfather's time did better than Black Americans during my father's time. So that defeats your entire argument, right?
Well,
check you out. Yeah, check you out, Candace. Check you out. I would love to hear what Main Man says about that, because we can't always talk about, since we're playing catch up, that we're doing worse than anybody. Bruh, I don't see that. I'm sorry, I don't see anybody ahead of me. Nobody. I don't see anybody ahead of me. And the only people I do see ahead of me, okay, I don't see anybody naturally ahead of me. I don't see myself naturally behind anybody. I see people either making different moves, doing different things, trying different things and becoming successful and they are excelling in their own lives. But as I explained to you guys earlier, it's about outworking yesterday, our own yesterday. We can only go as hard as we can go. We know us. We don't have anything to do with the Joneses. Blacks ain't got nothing to do with the whites. Guess what? Okay, we playing fair. Get out there and let's go. Every single thing that you can say that white people have an advantage on against Black people, I can name something that Black people got an advantage on white people. It's all stereotypes at the end of the day. It really is. You say baseball, I say basketball. Huh? I mean, seriously, it's come on now. We can play this game all day. What you're trying to do is constantly give Black people the ability to complain. Why would you do that? Especially being somebody who seemingly supports Black people. And I'm talking to the white gentleman. I don't know his name. I don't know his name. I'm checking this video out from Candace Owens' website. I mean, from her page, but I don't know this gentleman's name. But what you're trying to do is not going to help us, man. It's not going to help us at all, for real.
But what do you mean?
Ownership. So what
Yeah.
happened
Yeah.
from, you know, the 1950s through to the 1970s, that Black Americans became more impoverished, you know, owned less homes and became more reliant upon the government structure. And the truth is we married the government, welfare. And now, whether you want to argue whether or not that was strategic and whether it's the fault of the government and Lyndon Baines Johnson, you know, for proposing the Great Society Act,
Right.
which is what married Black women to the government, that's an argument you can have. But you can't say it's because there's this long-standing Black Americans just couldn't break away. If you look at the 100 years following slavery, Black Americans did well. The fact that Black Americans performed better economically under Jim Crow laws than they are doing today, you just cannot point to a systemic racism. It has to do with choices, the choices that we made to marry the government, and the fact that we cannot outthink this government structure, that, you know, Black Americans still believe in the victimhood and will take the handouts, that Black Americans will take to the streets and demand, you know, AOC right now is saying we need to make sure, you know, Black and brown people, the government pays them to stay home. Well, hello, welfare policies that, you know, were the first thing that crippled Black America in the first place, that they're being reintroduced right now under COVID-19. So
Right.
I always say right now, we have a choice right now if we're going to give another 100 years to Black poverty by all of us saying yes to more government handouts. We don't need government handouts. That's the biggest issue, is more from the government. The government is not our parent. It's not our mother. It's not our father. It was an attack on the Black family. But
Man, I love that. Listen. This young lady used to get on my daggone nerves simply because I didn't know that we were supposed to like her. I thought that we were all supposed to. That's the memo. You know, like when you see on the news and everybody's saying the same thing, saying the same exact thing. Weapons of war. Like every single time someone's interviewed on one of those channels, they're always saying the same thing, almost like they was emailed talking points early in the morning and said, you better say this, or they was emailed them and said, this is the word of the day, term of the day, phrase of the day, and whoever says the most get a reward later on when we meet at the bar. That's almost like what it seemed like. It seemed like it's a damn game that I choose not to play. So yeah, man, listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about, young man.
It's not our mother. It's not our father. It was an attack on the Black family. But if we don't wake up to that, we're never going to get ahead. Black people make the worst decisions out of every group in America, and you can compare us to who is the most successful group in America. It's not white Americans. So your argument about, you know, white Americans.
Who is this? Is it Asians?
It's
Asian. I forget who it is. Is it Asians? Some
yes. And
Asians, Indians do well.
They weren't given anything.
Indians do well.
Yeah, people need to always remember that, man. These people are coming in from other countries, starting from Skriznach, and they are running. They are chasing themselves. They are running their own race. They are not trying to keep up with anybody. They are running their own race. They are studying their asses off and trying to score better than everybody in the daggone world. And it's happening over and over and over again. And over again. But yet, every single time it comes up, we talking about black people. It's like, man, but they didn't have a head start. They started from behind. They didn't have nothing. What about all these people that's coming over here with nothing in their daggone pockets, but able to run businesses and be super successful, go to all these top-notch schools by simply outperforming people, by studying their tails off, by not being entitled, by just focusing on what's real, what they have to do. We don't give them, what's their pass? What pass do we give them? Oh, they're naturally good at math. You know how racist that is, bruh? It's racist as hell.
Irish. We haven't done great.
Yeah. So nobody wants to talk about Asians because it defeats all of the arguments. Well, white people had it easier, because no one's going to say Asian people during World War II were Japanese people were in internment camps.
Right. Well, that should be the title of your.
Why are they ranked above white Americans today?
The title of your next book should be "Nobody Wants to Talk About Asians" by Candace Owens.
I know. Exactly.
Yeah, I do understand, but as a white person, I would say to myself, I was a druggie. I drove around. I did not get pulled over nearly as much as my black friends. I feel like they 100% are more likely to get pulled over, more likely to go to jail. And we're doing a lot of the same things, right?
Well, no, you're not, because white people are not putting out songs all the time talking about how you're selling drugs, how you're killing your own people, how you're robbing people, how you shooting at police. You're not putting your music out there like that represents your culture. You're not. And you actually, if you whisper something long enough, or you try to spread a rumor long enough, or you telling people who you are long enough, they're going to start to believe it, and they're going to approach you with a different way of caution, the type of caution that they approach you with from telling them how dangerous you are. It's going to be a bit different. Now, are they operating under some biases? Absolutely, probably sometimes. I don't know. Who knows? But what we can't do is automatically assume, well, I'm a white guy and I hung with black guys and they got pulled over way more than me, and I was the one that was doing all the dirt. I was shooting people right in front of them and I never got pulled over. Well, as soon as you start to really represent yourself as a culture, as a community, as this killer. See, right now we go off of the KKK, we go off of dirty cops, we go off of what else we go off of to try to make it seem like, oh man, the white people should be treated the same way we've been treated. Nah. They're not really putting themselves out there the way that we are putting ourselves out there. At some point, we got to be accountable for that, man. Like, I'm just saying, no excuses. You're saying, how is that an excuse? There ain't no excuse. I'm trying to tell y'all what it is. Nobody is going to say that either. I bet Candace Owens is not even going to say that in this conversation.
Right. I was, irresponsible, reckless human being. And I just feel like I definitely had certain advantages that put me in a better position versus a kid, just the idea that I had money for a lawyer. So if there's a black kid who got caught smoking a blunt and went to jail, and my parents could maybe get me a lawyer to get me out of it. That to me is it's easier being white than if that's the right.
That come from your parents making decisions to be able to stack some cash and be able to take care of getting you out of jail when you act crazy. That's all that is. My kids get arrested right now and I can get them out of jail by paying a certain sum of money. I will be able to do that. Why? Because me and my wife and I made certain decisions to be able to do that. But there are a bunch of other black families and white families and Asian families and blah, blah, go down the line. Jamaican families, African families that are right here in the United States of America who can't afford to get their daggone children out of jail. Hispanics, same thing. Come on, we got to stop doing that. That sounds racist as hell. My parents are able to get me out of jail because, we're white. We had a head start, and they're black. They're broke. Clearly they're broke. Their parents ain't got it because they're black. Come on, man. That's demeaning.
See, but here's what's wrong. You just brought up a good point and then you racialized it. Okay. Rich people. Yes. Economic privilege is a real thing. It didn't happen because you're white, right? So it didn't matter if you think that Puff Daddy's son is not going to be better off being pulled off if he has pot, right, than some poor white kid, you're wrong. But you've accepted the argument that it's because of the color of your skin, not because of your economic circumstances.
Right.
It's because of your economic circumstances. Oprah Winfrey doesn't have any offspring, but I'll guarantee you that if they ever got into trouble, they'd be able to get out. Malia and Sasha Obama, who we know like to smoke pot, good for them. They're enjoying their teenage years, right? They are not going to go through the same things that a poor white trash kid is going through. Stop racializing it.
Do you think we should
rich people have more privilege?
Do you think
that's common sense?
Do you think we should legalize weed so that we don't have this crazy drug war that's putting people in jail?
No. I mean, listen, I have to think through those arguments more because I do think that first and foremost, I think conservatives that pretend like pot is the worst thing in the entire world are just completely crazy and out of control. But the issue is the slippery slope argument. And we know that's real because right now in California, what are they doing? Trying to, with heroin and methamphetamine, they're trying to make it so you just get a ticket and keep going.
Come on, y'all. Come on, yeah. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Heroin and meth? No. No. Heroin and meth is not marijuana, okay? You're messing it up for everybody. Cut that out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Isn't that what they did on is that Joey? Oh no, Uncle Jesse. Uncle Jesse. Cut it out. Or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, cut it out. It's not the same, man.
So the problem with the left is that you never just stop at one thing. You're not like, okay, you legalize pot and they're going to be done, right? They're like already in California pushing for decriminalizing methamphetamine and heroin. And this is now an argument that we have to fight. So it's hard to find what the right answer is when you know that it's never enough to do one thing. Meaning a couple of years ago, it was all about just gay marriage, just gay marriage. Right. I mean, the second the Supreme Court passed gay marriage, we were on trans rights, and it's been shoved down our throat. And now we're at kids picking their gender and bathroom signs need to.
That is true. It's always something. It's a one thing after another. Okay, we got away with that one. Okay, what's next? What's that? Pedophilia? No more charges for pedophilia. Okay, that's where we at. Okay, because right now they are doing daggone, and they are doing strip teases and drag shows in like schools where kids are little small, super small kids are not only able to attend, but they're able to participate in running up to the stage and throwing money at grown men who are taking their clothes off and are transitioning to a woman, clearly, because in the drag show, that's what it looked like. It looked like they're dressed up like women and then they're taking their clothes off, and little kids. I did a video about it. But yeah, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay, what else can we get away with? What else can we get away with? What else can we get away with? What else? It's like God is leaving the building, man. Y'all are shortening life for us. With all this demonic stuff going on, man. Come on, man. God is going to come back sooner. Let him stay where he is. Let us enjoy this life. Like, stop being so damn entitled about everything. Everybody that makes up their mind to be some little morsel of different don't need their own protection for being morsel, that little pinch of difference. Like, that should not be law now simply because they are this little teaspoon different. And now because they're teaspoon different and they started getting out there through social media, people start seeing them and they want to be like them because, you know, this is a copycat game, this thing we're doing. Every single thing we're doing is a copycat daggone game. The next thing you know, y'all are back fighting for the rights of, they like to cut off their baby toes. Yeah, we need to find a letter for them. Is B is already accounted for? Okay, they can't get B. T, okay, the T is already accounted without BT. They can be BT in the LGBTQ community. They'll be BT, like in little parentheses for baby toes, because they decided to cut off the baby toes because they was born feeling like they shouldn't have baby toes.
To be all inclusive, and men need tampons in their restroom. So, I mean, I don't know where I stand on it completely, because I understand.
But isn't there a little bit of a, listen, slippery slope argument certainly makes a lot of sense, but isn't there so much pain happening because of nonviolent drug offenders being in jail for so long? It's disproportionately affected people that are, as you said, economically disenfranchised. Lots of them happen to be Black and Hispanic. I just feel like there's so much pain. There's so many real world consequences to that particular law that we should, especially when it is legal in certain.
Decriminalize it.
Yeah, it is legal in certain parts of the country, and people are becoming millionaires. Yeah, okay. So we can decriminalize.
Decriminalizing is different than making it legal. And I agree with you. I think we spend a lot of time, the idea of anyone being in prison for smoking pot is just ridiculous.
Now, where are you? Are you strictly pro-life, no abortion, no matter what? See, I don't know. We don't know where Candace Owens feels about every single issue. We don't. Are you like 100% never can have an abortion, or is there any gray area with you?
The problem is that there's no gray area with the left, right? So I'm pro-life. I'm unapologetically pro-life because I understand now, as someone who used to be pro-choice, just how brainwashed you are as a young girl in school about abortion. I mean, until I was 25, I thought it was just a clump of cells, which is crazy. I mean, that's
Right.
just so they're fundamentally teaching you that abortion is birth control, and that it is the responsible thing for you to kill your child. And when I actually understood the history of abortion and studied Margaret Sanger and understood that it was actually a eugenicist movement, where people were trying to get rid of Black people having any offspring. And when you look at the numbers and you realize that it is Black Americans that are giving disproportionately, the Black population would be double today if it wasn't for abortion. That's a scary thing to even say. And that these clinics are being put strategically in Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. I have an issue with what abortion was designed to do, and the fact that it's been largely successful. By Margaret Sanger, through and through is as an American success story. She wanted to make sure people that were Black and brown, as well as immigrants from Eastern Europe, were not able to have any offspring. So I have an issue because I'm educated about it.
Shout out to Candace Owens, man. She's smart as hell. She's educated. And when she's talking to people who are not, it shows. I'm not throwing any shots at anybody. I'm just saying. But it's y'all turn now, man. I want to hear what y'all got to say about this in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing per usual, man. Love y'all. Bye.